Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the post-show wrap-up video here on the Harrisburg Shrimp Tank. I'm your co-host, Nathan Imboden, alongside always dapper co-host, Mr. Taylor Ranker. Find a replay of this full broadcast on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Harrisburg. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and nationally through the iHeartRadio platform. We had the honor,
yeah,
of having Mr. Andy Orons of Allegra Image 360 on our show today. And we got to learn a lot about his background, some experience in buying and selling multiple businesses, and some things he learned through that process. Some ideas about family in business, and
got him to tap out on Plead the Fifth.
I did.
Quickly.
I did.
Yeah.
It was the first time I got somebody to tap out right away, which was exciting for me.
Takedown.
That's
Instant
right.
surrender.
That's right. And also, and we're going to talk on this a little bit here today, his idea of what he calls the bus test, and it's a very valuable lesson for all of us as business owners to know. So before we get into some of those questions, I know, Taylor, you got a very important question to lob out there.
Yeah, it's been rumored, Andy, that you're allergic to adult beverages. Is that true?
Yes.
Well, in that case, if you're allergic to adult beverages, we're going to need you to meet our friend, the shrimp tender. The shrimp tender is going to fix that. She's going to change.
Oh, look at that.
Awesome. Haven't I seen you in some swamp or something?
Swamp.
That is the lovely shrimp tender. Thank you for delivering that non-alcoholic beverage to Mr. Orons.
With olives,
That's
blue
right.
cheese.
That's right. Yes, you're welcome for lunch. That's good. So
All the food groups are covered.
Exactly.
So we're here to talk in the wrap-up video about Allegra Image 360. So Andy, why don't you just give us a background on what Allegra Image 360 does and what services you provide?
Okay, well, thank you, Nate and Taylor, for having me on here. Allegra Marketing Print Mail. We do just what it sounds like. We do marketing, print, and mail, cross-channel marketing that brings the wonder of the internet right into your mailbox at home.
Oh, I like that.
That is pretty cool. That's a nice spin on it. Yeah.
And we are also Image 360, signs, graphics, and display. So if you're looking for a graphic representation of your business idea, we will be happy to develop that for you and make it come to life.
So that sounds to me as if you're living in two worlds, literally an old and a new. Like I'm an old school guy. I still like to pick up my newspaper and read. So how do you manage that? The old and the new world.
Well, it's kind of based on that people are getting their information from everywhere. So you're going to open up your iPad, you're going to get something there, like you said. You're going to open up your newspaper, you're going to get something there. So the question is, your targeted clientele, what are they looking at? What might they be looking at? What might they be seeing? And it goes from something as simple as a postcard to something as complex or as big as a tractor trailer, which has big graphics on it and logos. We were actually contracted to do something for the Queen tour coming up later this year.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah,
Very
it's pretty
cool.
And big graphic logo on the side of their equipment truck. So it's just what you see around you is always communicating with you.
Can you expound upon that a little bit? Because I think a lot of our listeners probably underestimate the visual impact, which I think is what you're referring to.
Okay,
right?
so think about when there used to be a Yellow Pages, and the Yellow Pages, people would invest big money on, the display ads, a 2-page full display ad in the Yellow Pages. Can't do that anymore. So what do? You have a big website, but then it has to get found, yada, 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 pay-per-click, AdWords, Google, search. But if you have a vehicle that has a dramatic visual impact beyond just the vehicle itself, then you've got your Yellow Pages traveling around town for you. And a lot of business owners have bought into that proposition.
That's interesting. I mean, I have a question. What are the Yellow Pages? I've never heard of such a
Yes,
thing.
I hear you. There's this book sitting outside my office. It's been through like 3 seasons now. It just keeps sitting there. Nobody's picking it up. I don't understand.
That's awesome. Okay, so what I heard you say, one thing I heard you say was every company, every marketing strategy is different. because you're targeting different people. People have different preferences. So, and we have a little bit of experience in this working with you, but talk a little bit about collaboration, how you work with clients in helping solve whether it's their marketing or their imaging needs.
You know, a lot like you guys, we go through a consultative process. We go in, we ask a lot of open-ended questions. We find out what's important to you, what's important to your clientele, and we fashion a marketing campaign or approach that is designed to catch your customer or your prospective customer at the time when they are most likely to want your services. That's the key, getting the right message at the right time to the right person.
It's very cool.
A lot of listening.
That is, yes,
A lot of
a lot of listening. Yeah. All right, so let's go back a little bit because you've been a part of a couple of businesses you've purchased, you've sold a couple of businesses, and have gone through, those transactions.
Andy's got a very unique history and body of experience.
Yeah.
And having done the exit, the buy, that's very valuable, I think.
Yeah. So talk on maybe just a couple tips on maybe both sides of that. If you're looking at buying a business, what tips you have, but also then if you're looking at selling a business, any tips you might have.
So if you're looking at buying a business, I would pay very careful attention to the bottom line profitability of the business, not necessarily the flowery picture that is being painted by whomever is selling that business. Chances are what it's done in the past is pretty much what it's going to do in the future unless something radical changes. And you'd have to be that element of radical change. As far as selling the business, the best piece of advice that I could give somebody who's selling their business is let somebody else do it for you. Somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who is in that particular marketplace, who understands what the buyers look for in that marketplace, and let them sell it.
Is it safe to maybe call that your expert team to a degree?
Yeah.
To some degree, you're expert advice.
Because when I sold my primary business in 2012, I can tell you it was a factor of 3 that we got that we would not have gotten had we had just been negotiating ourselves.
Wow. Yep. That's a great tip. I'd love to get your feedback off camera about your thoughts on all these tech IPOs that happen with these companies that are losing hundreds of millions of dollars that somehow have some value to them, because it's counterintuitive to what we all think.
Right.
But so I think the last thing we probably want to ask about was a really cool concept we talked about on the show, which was this bus concept.
And which is not what we expected.
Taylor
right?
and I had one thing in mind.
Right.
Then we joked about another thing, but it was actually maybe somewhere kind of in the middle. So would you explain the bus test and how that helps you kind of drive your business into success?
Sure. So the bus test is my pet phrase, which all of my employees use now. Because it's so readily understandable, which is at any given time, somebody can walk outside and get hit by a bus. And if your business is going to succeed, you've got to be able to survive that. So whatever your key personnel are doing, their key processes need to be documented and backed up so that if they get hit by the bus, whatever that bus looks like, you're going to come out okay.
So there's a very valuable message. As dry and boring, as mundane as this might be, I hear the words standard operating procedures. You need to have a manual of standard operating procedures. And that's something most young business owners and many mature business owners simply don't bother to do.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and you even said earlier, too, not everybody has to be an expert in all of those jobs and duties, but need to know there is a step-by-step process that they can get walked through if they're called into action.
And it's also the key valuable asset in terms of training new employees.
Yeah.
So you bring somebody in, you can train them over the course of a year, or you can have a Bible for them that's like, here's the critical things that you got to get up and running on in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
and it's nice to get them up in 2 weeks.
Right. If you have any growth intentions, it's essential.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you again, Andy.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
Thank you very much.
A lot of great
Welcome.
stuff here,
Really
a lot of great
appreciate
stuff, and great stuff on the podcast. So for the viewers out there who are interested in learning about Allegra Image 360 and all the services you can provide, I will also say fantastic and exceptional services, because we have utilized you in your companies and do an amazing job. What's the best way for them to do that?
AllegraHarrisburg.com.
Yeah, AllegraHarrisburg.com.
Beautiful. That's going to be right below us on the screen, so you can follow that link. Andy, it was great, and I do have to put a small teaser out for the podcast. If you want to find out what made Andy tap out so fast, the fastest I've seen. I don't think Tyson has even knocked out anybody as fast as I knocked you out in the Plead the Fifth section. Be sure to check out the full broadcast on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Harrisburg. Next week, we've got Brent Smith from Link Bank, one of the founders and I believe president of Link Bank, bringing banking here back to central Pennsylvania, trying to, I think, going to reimagine how local banking is done. So it'll be really cool stuff from him next week.
Brent, the big Link Smith coming on. Yes.
I think so. But I guess it is now. You heard it first.
Threw down the gauntlet
That's
there,
right.
Brent.
So, hey, everybody, again, check out Allegra and be sure to look at them and use them as for their services. And we'll see you next week on the Harrisburg Shrimp Tank.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp